We want to start off with a reminder that we are not doctors. Before you make any changes or try something new, always consult with your doctor and medical team first. Chronic illness can vary from patient to patient, so it's always best to consult with your own doctor for what is best for you.
Welcome back to I Be Determined. I'm your host, Mason Harvey, and I speak from the role of a patient, and I have Crohn's disease.
And I'm your other host, Michelle Harvey. I am Mason's mom, and I speak in the role of a caregiver. We're a little disorganized today. We're doing our best. So
Well,
please.
you guys were lucky I'm not the caregiver today, and she's not the patient.
I know. Or that you were in charge of writing the
Yeah,
podcast.
no, that would have been bad. That would have been
Today
horrible.
was supposed to be like our busiest day. It has been. We're sort of unprepared, but we do have an episode, but we had like so much to do. Tomorrow is Easter, and so we're filming a day early. And we have had so many unexpected things happen today.
So many unexpected things.
Yeah, it's not like it's been terrible. It's just
No.
like we are running out of time
Busy.
today. Yeah, everything is so we are so excited to actually be able to sit down and do the podcast. I didn't know if this was going to happen today, but here we are. And so yeah, day before Easter, we are hosting Easter tomorrow, so that is also part of all of this.
That'll be fun.
So yes, I have frosting on my sleeves. You cannot tell because they're not on
can't see.
camera. So that is
Trust me,
good.
it tastes good.
Yeah, we're making cupcakes with
Yes.
grass and Easter baskets and eggs on
Easter
them.
baskets made out of fondant.
Yeah.
We're not putting actual baskets
Mhm.
on cupcakes. Which
No. No.
that
So
would
yeah,
be
we
sad.
made the baskets out of fondant, and then that's what just happened. But so today though, today's topic, we are going next in our series. So last time we talked about how treatments have changed in the past 20 years, which includes biologics for these guys.
Yeah.
So a lot of things have changed, how you guys are treated. Up next in the series, since we're talking about treatments and how things are,
Biologics treatments.
we're going to just have a discussion and try to understand and clarify, why some people distrust the bioscience companies that create these biologics and why they view them so negatively. And my hope is today is not for us to come off as we're not know-it-alls.
No, we're not know-it-alls.
We're not telling you how to think.
We're simply your IBD determined podcasters that research, find information to use for our podcast.
We're always trying to find ways because this disease can make people so angry and so frustrated.
It's understandable too.
It is. And so it's like if we can find a way to have you guys think differently, think about other sides of things,
Try to think more positive.
and that's not to say we don't make up things to do this.
No.
We find facts and
Yes.
find information to help you guys maybe think about things a little differently. And I think there's just such an attitude where I'm not saying everybody feels this way, but I hear a lot of times like that these pharma and biotech, bioscience companies, they don't want to find a cure. And it's like they know they prefer to treat somebody. It's a lot more money to be made in treating somebody than finding a cure.
Mhm.
And this is not just IBD. This is with cancer. This is with all kinds. People are always saying that, oh, nobody wants to find a cure. And I feel like that is such a dismissal. It is so negative. I can see why people do feel that way because obviously there's a lot of money that seems like people are making in this and it's not the patient.
And also seems like you live in such an amazing world with such advanced technology. I mean, we have our artificial intelligence that thinks for itself and we can't find a cure for this. And now if you don't understand all the science and all of the stuff behind it, it might seem like, oh, well, they should have found it by now.
Right.
But it's so complicated and it's beyond
and so like that's kind of part of what we're going to be talking about today. And we've talked about this before. And so you guys, if you listen to us, you know how we feel on a lot of this. But so today is again, it's just to kind of discuss the rumors that are going around to help you guys maybe look at things a little differently, or maybe it'll just you won't change your opinion. That's not what it's meant to do either, because it's hard to say. I mean, there could be truth in both sides. I wrote my notes here, so we just have our outline today. It's the idea that bioscience companies are preventing a cure is kind of, like I said, across the spectrum for many diseases. And it's seems to be rooted in a mix of like financial things that, costs and things that have happened with that. And also a misunderstanding though of how, like Mason was just saying, how complex are these conditions. So for a lot of you, it's like we've seen so many, like I would say like miracles like AI and, modern day miracles, things that have happened
Yeah, I
Big
mean,
things in all different generations. And it seems like things are
yeah,
easy.
people can do surgeries through arteries. I mean, that is amazing. The amount of precision
Right.
and technology that is used in all that. And then when you think, well, there's not a cure for Crohn's disease, and that in that sentence right there, it sounds simple. It sounds like, well, why isn't there?
And then I think you look around and you're going, but there's also not a cure for diabetes.
Hmm.
There's not a cure for cancer. So people start going, aha, but there's treatments. So somebody prefers the treatments and people chase the money. And that's
Hmm.
honestly, it could make sense. But we want to talk about a few different things here because I think these are important for people to think about. And I think it can only help you guys be more educated and have better discussions, better
Yes.
conversations.
Be mad.
Yeah. We're going to kind of look back and start kind of in the beginning here with how the rumor could have started. First, on our notes, we have that why cure a patient when you can treat them for life? That's kind of one of the questions people have, right? Like,
Because it would make insurance happier.
right, right. And it can make sense, because from that sense, yeah, insurance, but insurance isn't happy. That's the
No.
thing because insurance is being charged so dang much for these products too. So nobody's happy.
No.
But the cure should make insurance happy, but the cure would also cost
A lot.
insurance. And so why is this such a rumor that goes around? I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but one of the things is that the assumption is pharmaceutical companies do make money from ongoing treatments, which they do.
Hmm.
Like things like diabetes, Crohn's disease. There is obviously a heavy price tag on those treatments.
Hmm. I mean, they're making some good money, but there's a lot more than just
And we're going
that.
to make sure we go into that in another episode because that's going to be the next side of this is to show you the costs.
Hmm.
And we do not work for any biologic companies. We don't
No.
make anything off this. We spend way more than we want to.
On these thing biologics.
So this is not like a sales pitch, believe
Hey,
me.
they're good. It's like,
It is not.
they are very expensive.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So it's not that. It's more of, I guess, trying to rationalize
Mhm.
and not just blame
I mean,
without,
sure, things are overpriced sometimes, and they are expensive. But that's from our view. We don't know what it takes to make these. So you have to think more dialectically, theoretically, and try to see all of the different angles to
right.
actually understand before getting mad at something.
Right, because it would seem like a biologic would be extremely profitable because they are a long-term maintenance therapy. And so it's not like Mason just and he goes gets his treatment, he's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've talked about the costs over $1 million. I know negotiated costs bring that down just a little bit with insurance, but it is for him, he's very expensive. And so
And expensive.
yeah. So, but the reality is that a cure can be extremely profitable too. So, the mere fact of just suggesting that nobody wants to find a cure because there's no profit in it is kind of,
But
not a
also
great.
on top of, the amount of money that you would get from making a cure, the name you would get, the
Hmm.
how you go down in history for finding a cure,
Right.
that is an amazing title to have. And
Yeah.
I also think of it like this. Obviously, precision biologics are probably going to be a thing, and they're going to know what affects what and the cause of stuff. But if there is a cure, and that would apparently make less money, think about it like this. If there's a cure, everybody is probably going to want to try it because they're going to want to see if it cures them.
Hmm.
And they're going to have to, a lot more people are going to be trying that instead of, well, we'll try this first. We'll try this first. And if you tried Remicade first and that worked for you, then Stelara, the biologic, isn't getting money from you. But if you create a cure, it's going to create an interest in that. People are going to want to try it. People want to see if they can get cured.
Hmm.
And that's going to create an influx of cash, which that's how I think it would work. Obviously, there's a lot more to
Right.
consider than that. But the amount of not commercial, but traffic with the biologic, the amount of people that are going to be
Hmm.
interested in it is going to create a lot of money.
And so we're going to go a little bit more into that because because you're definitely onto things with that, and that's a good
I'm getting
perspective.
somewhere.
Yeah, but it's your perspective,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what this show's about, is getting you to think about your own perspectives and your own takes, and maybe think about it a little differently. And when we think of a cure too, we did a podcast, and you guys should watch that too. What a cure could look
Yeah.
like, because we have no idea what a cure is going to look
Mhm.
like. So to suggest that there is just a one-time dose you would take, what if it's not? It could
What if
be
there's also like a treatment? It could be like the one-time miracle pill. You take that and you're cured.
right,
Or you have to take infusion for 5 years and go through a certain amount of treatments and you have to get something done.
right.
And then you're cured.
Or it could be, who knows? We really have
The
no idea.
possibilities on your endless.
So there are multiple ways to make money off of a cure. So to simply dismiss it and say people don't want to find a cure because there's no profit, how do you know there's no profit? And nobody really knows what that looks like. And whoever figures it out will be one of the most probably wealthy bioscience companies. And also, I mean, there'll be competitors too who are going to be creating their own. And it is something that it just to dismiss it because saying a cure is cheaper than treating something is not always the case, and because we don't really know what that looks like. And we're gonna talk about that more at the end of this. We're gonna wrap that up because that's an important thing to think about. We'll come back to that. Another thing I think that has made people kind of think this is the truth is because they kind of doubt these companies. There have been some things, some of the things that lend themselves to fueling that kind of conspiracy theory of they just want to keep treating people, not find a cure. The high drug prices. It really does make it seem like it's all profit over patient.
It does.
Right. And I think, and like what Mason was saying earlier, which we're going to talk about on another podcast, there is a lack of transparency in understanding the price tag that comes with a biologic. I mean, it's not like we see a biologic, we think it's overpriced, but how many of you go and research
Yeah, what is the work
what
that
it
goes into
took?
it? Now, there
Right.
are some things that they obviously probably do make sense in some way, but without knowing about it or why it makes sense, it does seem like, okay, like
Right.
Solera, for example, over time, over the amount of time I've had it, the price has increased instead of decreased, which is kind of strange. Now,
Right.
obviously, inflation exists. The prices are going to get
But
more pricey over
it's
time.
gone up like
But
$9,000 a
it doesn't
dose.
make sense for that biologic to go up in price as there's more competitors and as costs have been paid off
Right.
more. You'd think it would go down, but instead it goes up. But
Which doesn't
there's,
make sense to us, but
yeah,
I'm sure there's
there
a
is
reason.
some reason for it.
But for us, we're always going, why? Why would it do that? So, and the other thing is, I think we see a lot of commercials selling these drugs. And it seems like, okay, well, I mean, if they're marketing and getting people to go ask their doctors about these, there's a big, marketing pitch to take these. And
Yeah.
so it seems like, the aggressive marketing practices with these can rub people sometimes the wrong way. They might not feel like it's like a money grab is what
Yeah.
it feels
We
like.
need more genuine stuff, all right? Oh, I'll help you, not someone dancing on a yacht with $1 million and
Right. And when
fireworks.
you're talking about chronic disease and people aren't feeling well and they're like, and then there's also been legal cases in the news here and there about major biotech companies or pharmaceutical companies. And so what happens is people just use these to reinforce their idea that they're just bad business, not great people. In my opinion, none of that necessarily supports the idea that they don't want to find a cure, but it just creates that mistrust. And when you have that mistrust, it's difficult. I have here one of the simplest reasons that bioscience companies aren't avoiding a cure is because diseases are incredibly
Yeah.
complex. And this is what we were kind of talking about in the beginning.
It's a very insane maze.
They're very difficult to cure. If you look around, I mean, it's like, and everyone thinks they're doing it on purpose. And it's like, maybe they're not doing this on purpose. Maybe it's just really hard. I mean, we don't have cures for a lot of
Yeah,
things.
there's a
And
lot of things.
there's a lot of people doing research and looking and working on these things. And I always think it must be frustrating for those scientists and those people that are working in the background, being like, yes, we are
Yeah.
looking for a cure. Sometimes that cure may not exist. So what if we're in a world where there will never be a cure, will not see one in his lifetime? Don't we still want treatments? Absolutely.
Yeah.
If,
You take it for granted.
yeah, and so it's kind of frustrating when people get so like mad about it, like they don't want to find a cure. Yeah, but thank goodness they want to find a treatment. Thank
Mhm.
goodness, because without it, we've talked to a very high profile doctor who's a gastroenterologist. He actually told us he doesn't think there will be a cure. And he didn't say, and I think that's because he doesn't know yet what a cure might look like because of reasons we're going to go into with this, how complex this disease is. That's not to say something will not happen. But what I think he's trying to say is the disease needs to be defined first.
Yes.
And
you can't fix something if you
right,
can't find the cause of
right.
something.
I mean, if your car's making a bad noise and you want to go cure it, get it fixed, somebody needs to find the noise and figure out what it is. And if they can't find it, you can't fix it.
It would be like having a kiddie pool in your backyard with water in it. It's inflatable, and somewhere a hole got poked into it and water's leaking out. And someone says, "Well, we need to figure out how to stop the water." But nobody looks for the hole. They're just trying to figure out how to get the water out.
Right.
You have to find the cause in order to fix something.
Right. And so I think when people just want to jump to a cure, they're forgetting that Crohn's disease in itself is extremely complex and it may not be one disease. So we're going to go into that in a minute. But these diseases are so difficult to cure. They take so much time to research, to understand. A lot of times the research to reach a cure is happening, but it's in places we don't see it. We're not seeing these things. It's not like it's on the news like, hey, tonight in this lab, look what they're doing. Like we don't know. We just don't know. So because of that, I think a lot of us are thinking nothing's happening. We only see the commercials and the people that are making the treatments. I think what's interesting is something like I'm part of IBD Plexus, and there are databases that are being created to document what is working for patients and what isn't. I think it's a very necessary step.
Definitely.
And so with these treatments comes a chance to learn from this disease. So I think everybody just thinking like it's like I really think we should be thankful too for these bioscience companies that are providing, Mason's ability to sit here comfortably, not be running to the bathroom, and Mason being able to swing a golf club.
Yeah. I mean, think about this. It's a injection, once every 2 weeks, and an infusion once every 2 weeks. But those two creations are able to give the gift of life, which is, there's no price for
Right.
that. And so the fact that, I mean, sure, there's no cure, but at the same time, what they're able to do, there's still so much to be thankful for. I mean, 20 years ago, we wouldn't have had these amazing biologics to help me, and still gotta be very thankful for that. The disease is still very new to the field. You can still be thankful for those amazing things
and realize that sometimes the treatment might bring about the cure. And so these steps, I think, without fully understanding the disease, fully understanding how the treatments work, and how people behind the scenes are working on collecting this data and sharing it. IBD Plexus, we share this worldwide, and we're all trying to help each other because it's a big picture of putting these puzzle pieces together. We can thank research. We can thank the research made in bioscience companies and the treatments that are failing and doing well to show us maybe more about this disease. And something I saw that was really struck me is when we're talking about how slow the progress is with research sometimes, as someone when I looked it up, they referred to it as moving at a glacial pace. So if you sit and stare at a glacier,
it's not moving.
Right? Like if you look at it for a minute, a year, 10 years, it's probably going to look the same. It's not going to probably do anything.
But in the course of like 20 million years,
right,
it's
and
a huge impact.
Right. So when you're talking like about geology and things like this, things sometimes move slowly. It can be frustrating. And it's like, it's such a slow pace where it just seems like it's impossible. So obviously, let's hope a cure happens. Number one, let's hope a cure doesn't take as long as a glacier to move. But it just reminded me that there is stuff happening all around us that we don't see it because it's going so slowly, but changes are happening. And so sometimes with something like finding a cure and that research, it feels like slow progress, but progress is progress. And really, I think even with the treatments, the progress that has been made is fast. And relatively speaking with this disease, it's still
a snap of time. 20 years seems like a lot of time
but it's still
with the amount of things that have happened. It's still
incredible.
step,
And I think it's getting faster. And with our our databases, even AI helping with certain things. I think there's going to be new treatments, new changes, and new ways of figuring out what this disease is. Because I said you can't cure something you don't understand.
Mhm.
And that's a huge part of this disease is understanding it. So, anyways, I thought that was interesting about the
I
glacier.
like that. I like that
I know.
analogy.
I'm like, people are probably like, what? It's going to move it like that. But I
Slow.
mean, obviously, like, relatively speaking.
Mhm.
So I think instead of just, I think it's for some people, instead of learning and understanding the disease, it's easier to point a finger and, just explain it that way.
Yeah.
But I think it's more important that we look further into it because guys, if we want to solve anything, we want to be proactive with this disease, we have to keep educating ourselves.
Mhm.
It does not help to get mad and to point a finger and to blame and ignore it. If you just say that's what they're doing and then you go about your life, what are you doing to
Mhm.
make a change?
Yeah, yeah.
What are you like? It's like everybody, so really take some responsibility in learning and trying to figure out what you can do also. And if that is as simple as thinking positively and spreading, educated messages, that's great. That's something that I'm always thinking about that, we do get frustrated. And I know in the beginning of this, I might have felt much the same way. We've had the fortunate, most of Mason has spoken at several bioscience companies,
Yes.
probably at least four or five.
Yeah, I'd say so.
We're talking like Bristol Myers Squibb, Merck. Not speaking at Merck, but you've met
Yeah.
people from Merck
Yeah.
because Prometheus Bioscience, where he spoke at, they ended up selling their drug to Merck. And Spire,
Mhm.
Soriso,
So,
and pretty soon going to be Mirador
yeah,
Therapeutics.
correct.
And so we have, for the most part, there was one paid speaking event
Mhm.
in there. The rest has all been volunteer. And so we don't have any ties or alliance to speaking on behalf, of any of these companies. Like it's not like we're doing this because we're benefiting.
Mhm.
The benefit is Mason doing well.
Yes, that is
And
being
so
healthy is the
right.
benefit.
So more the so when people are like, oh, doctors are lining their pockets and these people, it's like, no, they're not. Make sure you're not spreading something that you can't back up and you haven't found evidence to support.
Take a step inside these bioscience companies and
Yeah.
look at all the machinery and look at all the scientists and
Right.
look at all the work they're putting in.
What is interesting is some of these companies. So we've spoken to a couple that are set up differently. Some have like a local hub. Like we're in San Diego, so
Mhm.
we have access to like there's in the Torrey Pines area, La Jolla area. There's a lot of these bioscience companies. Some have an office where some people locally work at. Other ones work in another office, like so they have small offices. Some don't even have a main hub. They all work from home in different locations and they meet up, to have their meetings or whatever they do. Other
Very
ones, like
interesting.
how Prometheus Biosciences was, they had a laboratory inside. So we actually got to tour the laboratory.
Which is very cool.
Right.
Very cool. You get to
And
see everything and how
yeah.
it all works and what they're
And
doing.
so that was pretty cool. So a lot of these people have their laboratories in different places. They're not always in the same building, but we've
Mhm.
had the opportunity to kind of see all the different things. And I think what has been really incredible for me is meeting the people.
Mhm.
And I think we all know, obviously, every human needs money
Yeah.
to survive. We all have jobs, right? I don't
Hmm.
think there's anybody here. I mean, yeah, work for free. So,
Well,
but,
welcome to the
but,
fun part of
but I
it.
do have to make money too.
Yes.
And so we all do need a primary job. We can volunteer and have other things on the side, but we do need a job that brings us income. So, obviously, yes, always always financially, look chasing the money, looking at the income. People do want to get paid.
Mhm.
But I think that what's incredible to me is the people working for some of these bioscience companies have went through extensive schooling, have probably had a lot of college debt, and yet they chose a business that, they're making decent money, but they are doing something that's going to benefit somebody. They're good people. And what is really interesting and super cool for me, like from my aspect, you may feel differently because for you, this is like a normal thing. You've been speaking since you were 12 years old and you're going to be 17
Good
pretty soon.
accomplishment. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, not normal because I never grew up doing that. And until Mason started doing that, this is something new to me. But what has impressed me is that these adults that are scientists, doctors, CEOs, all the gears in the business that make these places run and work, all these people that I so highly respect Mason. They
Is it?
ask him so many questions, and whether it's during his speech and he does like a question and answer kind of situation, or whether it's afterwards, and they stay and they are so interested in how are you doing? How are your drugs working for you? What are you taking? And so it's genuine curiosity that if they didn't care and it was just like, they wouldn't care to see why would an adult who's making, whatever money they're making in their day, they
Why
just
would
want to
they
get
care
home.
to ask questions to me, or
Right, to a kid.
be motivated,
Right, and show him the level of respect and kindness. And you can see the compassion. Not everybody's gonna be the same. Some people are clock in, clock out. They're just like, but for the most part, what I have seen is a really amazing, just amazing people. And this
Mhm.
is through all the companies we've spoken with. So it's not just one.
No, it's a multiple.
It's a characteristic in each one. And it's amazing how long we can end up staying and having Mason answer these questions. We're not making anything from this, but
No.
I just think it's important to point out that I think when we don't meet people and we just see these commercials, we're just picturing something very different, corporate, very, but when you meet the people and you see the heart that goes into it,
Yeah, when you go there
you
in
know,
person, there's just so much more to,
yeah,
it looks like it's just a logo and a
right.
name. There's just so much more behind it than
Yeah.
what you would think.
We're going to kind of wrap up now with the scientific reality of what we've been talking about today, as far as not trying to find a cure because treatments, there's just more money in it, which,
Mhm.
I mean, there might be. Who knows? We really
Yeah,
don't
we may
know
not know, but
because we haven't found the
yeah,
cure yet, so we don't
no.
know yet. But the reality is it's actually far less interesting than all the rumors and everything. It's really that what they're kind of looking at is Crohn's disease is not just one disease.
Mm-mm.
And so the note that was here is that we've talked about this before. We've said this in other podcasts. Crohn's may actually be 50 to 100 different diseases that
That's
all
amazing.
look the same on the surface. So a cure for one person's Crohn's might not cure another's. So there you got to look at that too. The bioscience companies know these facts, okay? So they're well aware that there may be 50 different cures for
Mm-hmm.
something. So if they can start finding the cure and for all these there's a lot of potential
Mm-hmm.
payout to be made.
Definitely.
So I think that they're probably well aware of this. It's a very unfortunate reality with
Mm-hmm.
that being if that's the case.
Definitely,
But
but
it makes sense because so many people biologics are all very different how they treat. So it's
I mean,
not.
I can eat everything.
Right.
Someone out there, if they take one bite of I don't know, a noodle, they're gonna go
Right.
to a flare. There's just so many effects, and
Yeah.
because these things just don't happen. There's the
Right.
science, there's cells, there's all these things behind it,
And
and they have to figure
I
all
think
that
what's
out.
really helped us see that are treatments
Mm,
because without being able to say, oh, wait, so some people reacted to Remicade, but others reacted to Stelara, and one is
and
dealing
that's
with an
what I'm actually
anti-TNF and one
thinking.
is dealing with the IL-23, two different things. And so it does get you start thinking. So the treatment process has been crucial, I think, to getting closer to a cure. So I think these things you're like, it's like climbing the ladder. You can't just
Mhm.
skip a run.
No,
I mean, you could, but
you
like
could, but
in
there's a
our
big
in
chance of
our
falling.
theory, yes. So you have to kind of complete these steps and people are just like wanting to blame, but it's like maybe we should try to be a little thankful too. Like let's
Be
be
thankful.
thankful. And the other note I have here is that science is very good at curing acute problems. So that might be like something like an ear infection. You take an antibiotic for it, so those kind of things we're used to. So that makes sense why you're like, well, shouldn't this be the same? A chronic autoimmune disease that involves the body's immune
Body system,
system is a huge
is
problem.
how the cells are thinking, Well,
Right. And I mean,
cells,
maybe we'll find out some people with Crohn's don't even have an autoimmune. Maybe it's something else too.
yeah.
So it's not like we're dealing with an acute disease. This is a chronic, very large encompassing disease or diseases.
Diseases, yeah.
And so I think, it was exciting to get a name for Crohn's. And I think it was back in the 60s or 50s when we kind of like started going there.
Mhm.
Don't, like, don't quote me on that.
No, don't
But
quote, but
not even, it doesn't seem like it's been that long
that
since we
long.
kind of identified that and that they figured out that there was ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. And so I do think things will probably change with that. And that's going to help when we do look for cures, but a cure could look like several things. Kind of like they made a note that in one of the sites I was reading, that's the race for the Holy Grail.
That's funny because actually I was going to bring this up earlier, but
Uh-huh. I know there's things in your mind. I'm like, it's coming. Don't worry, it's coming. And so, yeah. So in the bioscience world, that first company to find a genuine cure, not just treatment,
Mhm.
right? And they also was a note, even a way to prevent the disease. So you're never just treating it once you have it, but you're
You
treating
just
it and you never get it.
yeah, you just know,
Um,
you know.
so that would become the most valuable company in that industry. And so that should be a huge motivator for someone to say, well, while they're working on the treatments, I'm going to find a cure. But we understand now after our podcast, hopefully you understand that's not as easy
As it
as it
sounds.
sounds.
Hmm.
There was another note that some of the genes, because, and we've had Mason's genetic code, we've had him looked at, and they didn't find anything that was genetically linked to this disease.
Which is very interesting.
But some of the genes that cause Crohn's are currently what they termed it undruggable.
Them genes
It
can't be
means
drugged.
they know there's a problem,
Yeah,
but we
they
don't
can't
have the
figure it out.
technology to fix it without side effects that are very dangerous. So that's
Mhm.
the other thing.
You don't want side effects.
What cost does a cure come with?
Say, oh well, this cures
Crows,
Crohn's in about
but
2 hours, but you die 5 days later. So,
right, but what is
but
the dangerous
is
side
that a
effect?
cure still? No.
Right. So we have to, take a lot of things into account. Again, we're just a mom and a son
Yeah.
who really are frustrated with this disease and want to help others and get you guys to maybe think differently, not think just the way we're thinking,
No.
but to
Critically, more
think
understand.
critically and take maybe what we're looking at, because obviously there's no one right answer here. Maybe some drug companies, all they do care about are treatments and making some money. But I
But
think it's an unfair statement to
assume that
just,
of them,
right, and to hate them and to always say, oh, they're terrible. I don't feel that way because with how well Mason's doing, I am so thankful. Like, I'm so
be so
thankful.
thankful that we're doing good.
Right, right. It's like, and so without these treatments, if somebody had just said, "Well, we're only going to find a cure. Don't worry about treatments." Lots of people would pass away. Lots of people would be very sick. I know it's frustrating, and I know
It
everyone
is.
wants a cure, and they want to. They're frustrated things are taking so slow. But sometimes in science, things move slowly, and when you have a disease or you're watching someone suffer, it's really bad. It's difficult because you want it to go faster.
Hmm.
Best thing you can do, call the Crohn's and Guys Foundation, see what you can do,
Yeah.
get
How
involved,
can you help?
help fundraise for research. We work very closely with them. Like I said, I work for IBD Plexus
Hmm.
in their patient advisory committee, and I see a lot. I see a lot of heart. I see a lot of people that care, and the volunteer side of it. I'm also in an advocacy committee where we might be speaking with a local senator pretty soon. Things that they involve us with on the legal end of it to try and help pass things or, speak up, let our senators, let our assembly members know what we're going through. So there's many ways you can be proactive.
And
Maybe,
help.
maybe we're not going to, I don't think either one of us are going to cure
No.
Crohn's. I don't think that's in the
No.
cards.
But you can stop pointing fingers and instead try to
But you can
help
do
and
right
helping
because
people in the future.
yes, because the future is so important. And if things aren't done now, like if somebody 20 years ago, 30 years ago hadn't cared enough to look
Hmm.
into a
You say,
different
well, it won't
treatment,
happen in my lifetime, so
right? So who
you know
cares?
what? Who cares?
They would have all suffered
Yeah.
more. So
And so what have we?
we need to do something now in order to change things, even if it's 10 years out. 10 years from now, you'll be so grateful you did.
Hmm.
So, and maybe you don't have a lot of time to do that. The best thing you can do is then, after listening to this podcast, is make sure you're engaging in positive conversations that are, I mean, not, I guess I shouldn't say positive because this is, there are negative things
Yeah,
that you want to
there
talk about
are.
too. I mean, productive. Productive is the
Yes.
word I'm looking for.
Like in my communications class, an argumentation class, they say there are any form of a discussion where someone's trying to make someone understand or talk about something to try to clear confusion is called conflict.
Mhm,
And it says most people think of conflict as fighting,
mhm.
but there's healthy conflict, and then there's unhealthy conflict, and there's healthy arguments and unhealthy arguments. And a
Exactly.
healthy argument is one where you're arguing and having conflict, but you're trying to find a cause and you're keeping everything calm and trying to think dialectically and theoretically and find a answer to the problem. An
Right.
unhealthy argument is where you're having an argument and having conflict, but you're not trying to find a solution. You're
Right.
not
You're
trying to
only
find a
trying to
cure.
share your side
Yeah,
and
you're
don't
just
care.
arguing to argue.
Mhm. And
So
sometimes I know things are tough with this disease because
they
you get bossed around a lot by people who are like, hey, you need to change your diet. And you're like, no, that's not
hmm
it. The important thing to remember is to try to make a productive conversation, a
hmm
productive conflict, and have an argument that is a good argument.
hmm
And maybe you'll learn something, maybe they'll learn something. And if you speak to each other respectfully enough, and because you don't always need to call names or act like someone is stupid or dumb, and because that's not it. And because honestly, do we know the answers to these things even we're discussing? No,
no.
because nobody does. We're just doing our best. But I think it's really good to just really think, use your mind,
Mhm. Yeah.
and don't just shut down, point a finger, and just go with the popular vote of we hate pharmaceutical companies. Like, you know,
Insurance. Oh.
right. And even as mad as we get at insurance, and believe
Mhm.
me, insurance has taken a lot of our time up lately. I still feel for them.
Mhm.
I
I mean,
mean,
I'm like insurance. You shouldn't be putting money over lives. I mean, why would you cancel my treatment? Because that would end up in me having a lot of problems and
right,
maybe dying. But when you take a step back, you're like, insurance is paying for so much for me, and then there's
right,
other people that are obviously I can be mad at insurance and I can be like
right.
they hate
You
me.
definitely be frustrated.
No, there's just so much that you have to take into your mind and say, well, are they trying to be evil or do they have an actual reason that needs to be solved?
Right. And so I look at it as it does need to be solved because
hmm
no human should suffer.
hmm
Nobody with this disease should suffer. If they need a treatment, they should get it. But we need to figure out how to make that
Yeah,
happen.
I shouldn't be.
That's the key.
I shouldn't have to suffer because they don't want to have to pay for this. But insurance shouldn't also have to be paying
Right.
$1 million a
Well,
year.
because basically someone has to pay for it. And
Someone has to pay
who?
for it, but
Someone gets left, left holding the bill. And so, how do we get things to be cheaper to produce so
mhm,
that they're not as expensive and where people can still make enough money where they want to find that
let's
treatment,
say, well,
to,
bioscience companies need to make their drugs cheaper. Well, the
right,
supplies, the research, and the time, how do we make that a
right.
little bit cheaper? Well,
So,
then we need to figure that part out.
and he's done a paper on this. We've thought about this. This is something, we're always thinking on. So the important thing is we're not going to solve this today. We're not going to solve this in the podcast. But if we start changing the way we think and start addressing these issues with problem solving approaches, that's the way we're going to do it.
Mhm.
So we need to stay calm. We
Yes.
need to not
Stay calm.
be angry. Um,
Keep your pointing finger down.
I know it is hard because sometimes some of you have gotten off an insurance call, you've been on there for 3 hours and you feel like nobody listened to and you
Yeah.
feel like you didn't get anywhere. So I get that frustration. And I hope that's not you today. I really do.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, from today's podcast, we have, made you think about a different side of something and maybe not be so frustrated, but maybe just more understanding.
Mhm.
So,
Hopefully so.
yeah. So, with that, we're going to go back to getting ready for tomorrow. Have some more stuff to do.
Yay.
Mason has some work to complete.
This is true.
Also exciting, we'll share it with you guys.
Mhm.
Mason is about a semester away from his
From
AA
AA
degree.
degree. Good deal.
That's really exciting. So he got that news about 2 days ago. He talked to his counselor at Miracosta. And so that's really, I mean, I think in this, when you have these victories are big when you have this disease because so many different things hold people back and so I think it's just really exciting to share. It's not going to happen for everybody, but maybe we'll do a podcast sometime on your educational
Yeah.
path to help maybe others. We've talked about homeschool, but I think there's more to it
Just
than that.
yeah.
So I think maybe we'll do that.
Have another podcast about jumping spine.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk more about that another time because we
Yeah.
have stuff to do.
Yeah.
But so this is kind of like we said, last week we talked about the advancements that have been made in the past 20 years. Today we, kind of talked to you guys about the myths about bioscience companies and just wanting to use treatments and not finding a cure. And so we're going to do the next series. We'll keep this kind of going because I think it's important to keep the discussion
Raise awareness and think
right.
critically and
And so next
make
time,
the mind
maybe
healthy.
I think next time we're going to be doing why biologics are so expensive. And so we can better understand
What
why.
everything is going into it
Right.
and
So
why they cost so much.
so stay tuned for that. You can check us out on Team I Be Determined on Instagram. You can go to our Reggie Project, also the Reggie Project on Instagram. And if you guys are listening, you're probably listening on one of the podcast stations like iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, or
You can listen to more because there's more link to Buzzsprout, which has
yes.
all the podcast stations.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also listen to, if you want to watch us and listen to us, you can watch us on YouTube. There's also the YouTube podcast, but that's a podcast you don't watch there. So you
Yep.
might as well watch us on the videos because there's YouTube videos. And if you are on YouTube, make sure to give us a like, subscribe, and if you want to be notified every time we post a new video, make sure to hit that bell icon. And make sure
Yep.
to leave comments because we like hearing from you guys.
Yeah.
Just make sure to be nice.
Yes. Be polite.
Just be polite.
We do this for free, guys. We
Yeah.
don't.
We do for
So be
free.
kind. Be
Everything we
kind.
do is a nonprofit.
Yeah, I know. I know. I feel that way. But anyways, guys, hope you guys have a good weekend, a good week. Rest your day. Good
Yeah.
morning if it's early for you, and good night if it's the evening.
And have a happy Easter.
Yes, hope you
Yeah.
either had or will have one.
Oh,
'Cause
well, yeah, it's gonna.
it'll be
Yeah.
way past Easter by the time you watch it. So hope
Oh,
you had.
I hope you had a good Easter.
All
I
right,
don't know.
guys. Well, we'll be back in 2 weeks, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Yes. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We hope you will stick around, tune in, and reach out to us with your own journeys. We are excited to give you an inside view of what it takes to be a caregiver and what it's like to be a patient.
And most of all, we hope you'll maybe be able to apply something you hear on here that might help you in your own life. Sometimes life changes, and it's all about how you handle the journey.